Hi guys, #1 Marmaduke fan here. Goodwill books. They were $1.99. Like, manga just can't stop winning. These were $1.99. The regular comic books, like Western floppies, were $4.99 at Goodwill. Goodwill is weird. Like, one Goodwill will have floppies for $1 and one will have them for $3 or $6 for 3 floppies, but manga always wins. So the theme of this video is the industry needs simple, solid books, and these are 2 examples of books I would give to a kid that are simple, solid, fun kids entertainment. And if something is a solid kids book, what I mean is I don't look at it the way I look at The Hobbit, which I just consider literature. The Hobbit's for children in its reading level, but the themes of The Hobbit are so beautiful. The writing of The Hobbit is so good. You can read that as an adult and still love it. These are 2 books where I look back at them and I say, yeah, they're all right. they don't really like communicate like some great deeper truth to me about death or the nature, human nature, or the reality of life, but they are fun, straightforward books, and they have enough deeper themes that I'd give it to a kid and say, yeah, kid's gonna learn something good, even if I'm not like deeply impressed by it. Now that sounds like a dig, but this kind of a thing is really important because it's kids' first comic book. So 2 franchises. If you're not familiar with, how can you not be familiar with Pokemon? So the thing that I love about the Pokemon franchise is how simple the idea is and how obviously that caught on. I even loved kind of the origin story of how the game designers at Wizard were like playing, I think it was Dragon Quest, and they thought, gee, I sure wish I could trade my rare items with my friend, and then that became a game mechanic, which was innovative. Like, no games were doing that back then. But the premise of Pokemon is, hey kids, you like monsters, right? Well, what if you had cute monsters and you could go exploring on an adventure and find them, and then the monsters fight each other and you get to be the best monster fighter? That is such an elegantly simple idea, and basically Pokemon now owns that idea. It's so straightforward. Like, why didn't someone think of that 20 years before Pokemon thought of that? So I kind of respect Pokemon for having just such a great premise. Yu-Gi-Oh! I kind of have the opposite relationship with. When it was first coming out, I hated it as a little kid. I just thought it was rip-off Pokemon, and then, like a lot of people, I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, and I thought, hey, this is kind of funny, I should maybe check it out. And I really started to get more and more respect for Kazuki Takahashi, because the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! is it's kind of the opposite. I hate the concept, oh, we're playing a card game. You can go spend all your allowance money on this trading card game, kids, and watch how they use the trading cards, which is kind of weird. But then Kazuki Takahashi sells it, and he sells it with his character design, which is so 2000s. You could cut your finger on every edge of his characters. And I also learned this later, that Kazuki Takahashi has a lot of respect for Hirohiko Araki, which once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, he'll do like the big giant hand gestures and the crazy twisting poses while doing the card game fights. And that's what helps make it memorable and visually fun, because otherwise it'd just be card. The art sells it. Now, I think that now that I've read some Hirohiko Araki, I can kind of see that Hirohiko Araki is the kind of artist who comes across, like, once every 100 years, there's an artist like him, and there won't be another Hirohiko Araki for another 100 years. But a groundbreaking artist like that kind of lays a foundation for regular artists to come along later and be better because of that inspiration. So Kazuki Takahashi is a better artist thanks to the inspiration of Hirohiko Araki, and he's able to capture some of that magic and mix that magic into his card game fantasy and give it its own kind of flair and its own charm and speak to people. So that's what you got. You have a good, solid industry which has a good relationship with its customers. You have groundbreakers who do like really unique and innovative things, and then you have solid people come in who build on that and kind of like get more people into comics, get people, reading the manga at the library, get them engaged. So the industry needs more books like this. There isn't that much to say beyond that. Like, Millennium World is near the end of Yugi's story. Oh, but there's wisdom. All right, so I marked this because this is really good. Says Kazuki Takahashi, I've been thinking about writing a manga series. I've been thinking that writing a manga series is a lot like flying an airplane. Here's some examples. It's hard to take off. You need momentum to stay in the air. When you catch the wind, you can coast for a while. You're stuck in a tiny seat where you can't move, and the food is boring, and the final obstacle is the landing. This storyline, the world of memory, is like the part of the plane flight when you make preparations for landing. I hope we make it down safely. Kazuki Takahashi, 2003. It's always impressed me like how much work ethic and how many like good thoughts manga artists have about their craft. Like they're interesting. It's sort of like reading Stan's soapbox, and not only were the Marvel comics fun, but Stan Lee was also a really fun guy. And you don't see too many personalities like that because of Twitter, because Twitter drives everyone crazy. But when you hear a manga artist talking to you, it's about their craft and their love for their craft and their love for their fans. So you just get more and more invested in them. I don't care what Kazuki Takahashi's thoughts are on causes of the Great Depression in 1940. When he talks about making a good comic, I care, because that's something he does. So just some quick observations. Yeah, this has the reputation of being the card game manga, but he would do like some, genuine Indiana Jones style adventures, and he'd have puzzles where you'd have to use your brain and find a solution to the puzzle, like by looking at Egyptian history and realizing that Egyptian poses are posed with the left foot forward because that was had some religious significance for them, and that's the secret to the puzzle. Fun stuff like that. And then there's some... Didn't I mark anything else? I did mark something else. Okay. The other, where are all my marks? I must not have marked much in this because not much stood out. I guess there's, really generic themes of friendship. How do you know the good guys are good? Because they're fuenzies. How do you know the bad guys are bad? Because they have no fuenzies. It's really, really straightforward and obvious, but they still get to do, some stuff that kind of hits above the age range. Some people will die in the evil traps, and the Pharaoh's father will be shamed by the Phantom King, which is kind of a deep idea of having your father's legacy trampled on, literally by someone who had a grievance against him, and then having to rise to your father's legacy. Yeah, it's just simple. It's so simple. Pokemon Adventures. I'm kind of salty that I let Mother's Basement do a video on how amazing the first 9 volumes of Pokemon Adventures are before I could. Mato is just beautiful. She has kind of a very strong influence from Osamu Tezuka, I think, where characters are very solidly constructed. But she also then adds a little bit more adorableness and simplicity to it than even Tezuka had. Such a perfect match of an art style for the tone of the story, and I would put the first 9 volumes of Pokemon Adventures high on any list. I can't speak to the later volumes that were done by a different artist. I'll read them eventually, but just something about Mato's style really clicked for me. And I even like how Pikachu is a character in it, but it's not just Pikachu. This was before Pikachu became a mascot. It wasn't even Red's first Pokemon. And if you were a Pokemon fanatic, if you haven't checked this out, you gotta. It is so interesting to see. It wasn't even the first Pokemon manga, but it was so interesting to see how the anime series clearly drew from this, but maybe changed some things or dumbed down some things for kids. Do not miss it. An absolute gem. And I'd recommend it for non-Pokemon fans. Mato is so sweet. So Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Adventure, they've been doing the adventure line forever. This is a completely different artist. Shigekatsu Ihara. He's done a lot of Pokemon manga and something called Dual Jack. This is kind of dopey, but kind of fun. So I guess the thing I don't like about it is I can kind of tell, okay, I see the formula. They figured out the magic formula. Hey kids, monsters. Monsters fight each other, go on an adventure and meet the monsters. And this gives me that, and I love that. I think telling kids, have an adventure, go exploring, check out zoology, become a better person, face your fears, all that kind of stuff. That's just great kids storytelling stuff. The only thing I didn't like about this is some of it felt a little on the nose. So they've got to come up with a different twisteroo, right, to keep you as interested. So what's the twisteroo? Well, the young boy, he's like Goku. He was raised by wild Pokemon in the woods. Okay, and then he'll fight the Pokemon himself because it's almost like he thinks he's a Pokemon. Okay, and then Piplup. I like that, it's not Pikachu in every volume. They have a chance to give him Piplup, Shinx, and Misdreavus, so it's not just Pikachu. And then they do a similar thing where Piplup's kind of a jerk at first. It's kind of full of pride, and he has to earn its respect. And there's also this weird thing where the professor raises him but just lets him live out in the woods, and he says, "Hey, you got to go find Dialga. I won't tell you why. I just think it's your destiny to find Dialga." Okay, it's my destiny to go find Dialga. I don't know. Like, I feel it'd be more normal if you let that kind of come in normally, like they're going on just like their normal adventure to become a Pokemon master, and then they realize, oh, Dialga is super important. We've got to find Dialga to save the world. It just felt a little bit like writing backwards. We want to see Dialga. So we're gonna tell you it's your destiny to go meet Dialga, even though that doesn't make that much sense. They also do. I like that they do like inappropriate humor that kids would like, but they make it G-rated or PG-rated, like, haha, Onix picked her up by her skirt, but we don't see any underwear, so it's still G-rated. Later, like, someone gets bit on the butt. Oh, he got bit on the butt. Like, little 8-year-olds would love it, but it's nothing, like, too gross or disgusting that, you know, it makes it offensive or inappropriate. Like, the secret... I've told people, like, my parents didn't let me watch a lot of stuff when I was a little kid, and they're like, oh, your parents were strict. Yeah, except I imitated every bad thing I saw on television, and I said every bad word I saw on television. So I don't blame them. If I was going to say, like, the butt joke 80 times in a row, it totally made sense for my parents to say, no butt jokes in your cartoons, right? So this is doing a good balance of that, where it has a few, like, funny gags that kids get, but it's not, like, saying, butts, right? I think that's important. I love how in the fights, like, if you just took the video game Pokemon fights and put them in a story, that'd be boring. You use a move, you use a move, you use a move, you use a move. So they depart from the logic of the games, but in a way that kind of would make more sense in a real world with Pokemon. So he has Piplup use Pound to deflect attacks that it can't dodge because it's not fast enough. So it's sort of like it's pounding him and then sort of misdirecting him so that it doesn't face the full force of the blow. There's, like, lots of cool stuff where... Oh, okay, there's a good running gag. So the running gag is because he was raised in the wild and he's like a little Tarzan boy. When he throws a Pokeball, he throws it like a World Series pitcher at 90 miles an hour, which means that he's always throwing Piplup somewhere ridiculous, like over a lake, and then Piplup falls in the lake, and that's funny. And then they can do a variation on that every time, because it's just what dumb thing did he throw Piplup at? So sometimes he throws Piplup, and the Pokeball bounces off a tree and smacks him in the face, or the Pokeball hits someone in the balls, and it's funny because it's an actual running gag. It's not a... Too many running gags are just, hey guys, in-joke. Ha ha ha. Leafs in a hurricane. Am I right? Well, that's not funny. That's not funny unless you're in on the in-joke. This is funny because it's physical comedy. And then you can do it makes sense for his character. That kind of, it establishes something for him at the start of each chapter. He's kind of a rube. He doesn't really get Pokemon. And you can do a lot of variation with it. Therefore, it's a running gag that can actually be funny, because I never quite know exactly what dumb way he's going to throw the Pokeball, even though I know I kind of expect that's coming. And there's, like, really cool stuff where they're thinking strategically. Like, the bad guys will say, it doesn't matter if you fight fair or cheat. It's only if you win or lose. And then he figures out, okay, I got to use the environment to my advantage. She gets poked in the butt, but then this gym leader, like, teaches him an important lesson about using your Pokemon to prepare a strategy. So the first Pokemon lays the groundwork for the strategy, the second Pokemon continues the strategy, and he's always, like, getting into a situation where they say, haha, you're not ready, you're a rube, you go train and then you'll be ready to fight me. But then he'll, like, kind of stupidly figure out a plan that works. I love it. So they're actually thinking creatively with the basic Pokemon moves to make some exciting fights that make sense, that they have to use their brain to get through it. There's one great panel where he says, I'm fine with being stupid. That's his character, but he is getting put through tests and trials to force him to become smarter and more strategic, and it's dope. All right, so really my highest recommendation is go check out the first 9 volumes of Pokemon Adventures, illustrated by Mato. She tragically fell ill and wasn't able to complete the series, but top tier manga artist. This was just a fun book. It's a similar theme to the classic Pokemon story. It's the same formula, and they're just kind of like repeating that formula and trying to change up a few things. And good on you guys. You know, like, I'd give this to a kid. Mato is where it's at. All right, 2 fun little books. These are going to be happy donations. I hope some kids at the library have a blast. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell to receive notifications. Make sure you are still subscribed. I'm enunciating everything so that you know that I am very thankful to my supporters on Subscribestar, and to my Super Chat donators, and to you for listening.